So, in our mass spectrometry class, uh, we have discussed the basic principle regarding the instrumentations, so the parts of the instrument, and what are the main major components which are required for building up the instrument. Second part is we try to understand the ionization techniques. Now we are a situation of discussing the analyzing of ions, means how the ions will be separated uh, in the ion, I mean the analyzer, okay, that chamber. So if we talk about the mass analysis, there we have seen in the last class one of the important technique or utilized there is the magnetic sector mass analyzer. Okay, so there we have seen how the uh, M by Z ratio will depend on the R, right? So when you have the charge species traveling in a magnetic field, what we see that the charge species will have the uh, curved pathway. So that means you will have uh, the circular pathway with a particular radius. Okay? And we have found that in the case of positive ion, the M by Z is depending upon the R value. That we have seen in the last class. Today we'll be looking at double focusing mass analyzer. We'll look at the quadruple mass analyzer. We'll try to understand another technique named as TOF, time of flight mass analyzer. And then we'll try to understand some basic terminologies like different types of peaks, what we call them, uh, the isotope effect in mass spectrometry, and the nitrogen rule. Okay, so I'll try to discuss these points today. Uh, Double focusing mass analyzer, it is just for uh, many applications you need higher resolution. Okay, and that can be achieved through the modification of what we have seen in the last class, the magnetic sector uh, analyzer. That design has to be modified, okay, for better resolution. So that I'll tell how it can be done. The particles leaving the ionizing chamber, if you remember, you have ionization chamber, right? So there you are generating the ions of the targeted molecules. So targeted molecule will have different ion formations. You have the molecular ion that can undergo fragmentation. You have different sizes of ion are there. Means you have different M by Z related ions. So the particles leaving this ionization chamber, they do not have precisely same velocity. Okay, so they have uh, velocity different to each other. So the beam of ions passes through an electric field is added in the magnetic sector analyzer. Okay, so you have, uh, I mean, the beam of ions, whatever has been produced in the ionization chamber, it has to pass through another electric field, and that field was absent in case of regular magnetic sector analyzer. Okay, so we have added electric field. Now that field can be added before magnetic sector, or it can be added after magnetic sector. I mean the magnetic where you are setting the magnetic field. Okay, so that is, you have the option, but generally we see first the magnetic sector, I mean the magnetic uh, uh, field where you are going to apply, that part will be there, and then later part the electric field system will be there. Now, in the presence of electric field, what happens? The particles are uh, bound to move with same velocity. Okay, so that is the uh, point we are having here. Now we can understand from the last class what we have seen. Under magnetic field, what happens? You have a higher m by z, they will have more big picture, right? So the R value will be more. This R2 will be more for higher m by z uh, ions. Okay. Now, what we see is there are three, for example, I have taken like three different types of ions. One ions, they have bigger, I mean higher m by z. Another ion is have moderate, okay, the green color one. And the blue color one, they have smaller m by z. Okay. Now, in magnetic sector, what can happen? The higher momentum, the ions which are having higher momentum, that will move faster. Okay. Now, what we see here, it is represented by this color. Okay, the bigger one. So it is going, I mean, moving faster. Okay. And then you have the moderate size, and then you have the smaller size. So this is the situation we'll observe when we'll see they will be passing through the magnetic sector. Okay. Now, what we observe here is that for a similar type of ions, they will not have precise uh, velocity. So they will have certain tiny changes in their velocity. Okay. And due to that, what will happen is, uh, okay, so due to that, what will happen is, if you don't have the electric field later on, since you have the ions of similar m by j having differences in their velocities, little differences, what we'll see, they will reach to the detector not at the same time. So you'll have a time delay little bit from one another. And as a result of which, we'll be seeing the broadening of the peaks. Okay, so your peak will be broadened like this. So to have a smooth, sharp peak, what has been done is a secondary modification has been attached. So that is, we call it that another focusing system. So that is the electrostatic analyzer. Means you are applying the electric field here. So if you look at here, this is another channel. So one side you are applying the positive potential, another side you are applying the negative potential. When your charged particle is traveling through this channel after ejecting from the magnetic sector analyzing part, uh, then what will happen when they will enter and passing through this electric field, all of them will have their same velocity if they have same m by z. Okay, so same m by z will have the same velocity, and as a result of which, what we'll see, the similar m by z ions will strike the detector, will reach to the detector at the exactly same time, and detector now will uh, count the ions at that time, and it will be projecting the signal. Okay, so in that case we will see this broadening peak will be sharper. Okay, now here what we will see further is that if you have unusual m by j, that will be not reaching to the detector. Okay, uh, when the positive charge is moving through this electrostatic analyzer, what you'll see is you have positive charge here. So uh, in the electrostatic analyzer, this part you have a positive field, so that will be repelled. Okay, so and if you have any negative ions, that will be further here, that will be screen out. We have negative here, so positive here, positive will be taking care of negative and it will be neutralized, so that will not move to the detector. What we will see further is you have negative here. What its job is, it will pull the positive ion towards itself. Okay, so now you have a positive repulsion, you have negative attraction. Under this condition, your ions are traveling, so only the ions which have proper m by j, they will be allowed to reach to the detector. Otherwise, the very high m by j or very low m by j will strike the wall of this analyzer, and they will not reach to the detector in proper time, or it will not, so they will not reach. Okay, they will have very long time taking, I mean they may take very long time to reach the detector. By that time your analysis of other ions will be done, so the time lag will be there, so it will not be reflected in the detector. Okay, so this is the major thing. So you are having two focusing part, one is magnetic sector, another is electrical field. Okay, so that too will help to have more precise peak development. Now quadruple mass analyzer, in a quadruple mass analyzer, a set of four solid rods are arranged parallelly to the direction of the ion beam. Okay. Now this rod, you can imagine, they will have a cylindrical shape. So the rod should be cylindrical mainly, and you can have hyperbolic shape also. Okay, that is both of them are found to be efficient. Now the direct current is utilized there. Okay, so DC voltage is utilized, and another thing, your radio frequency RF is also utilized. So two things uh, utilize to the rod, which will generate an oscillating electric field. So electric field will be there generated, oscillating electric field in the region between the rods. Okay, so that is the point. Now, depending on the ratio of RF amplitude and the DC voltage, the ions acquire an oscillating field. I mean, oscillation in this electrostatic field. Okay, so ion will have, since they will travel through this oscillating electrostatic field, so they will have their oscillation. Okay, now this is the situation. What can happen? What can happen? Now here I will tell one thing. The four rods, here the field utilized, the diagonal rods will have uh, same field, means positive potential, and one diagonal will have positive potential, another diagram will have negative potential. You will understand if I give the front looking. Suppose you have one rod face here, another rod, because you have cylindrical, so four are kept. So if you look from the front, you will look only this circle, right? Rod face. Now suppose you are applying the positive field here, so this will be positive also. Okay. If you are applying negative field here, this will be negative. So diagonal rods will have same field, both positive and negative. Okay. Now, what are the observations we can uh, expect? I mean, uh, what we see is the ions of an incorrect M by J, too large M by J or too small M by J, undergo an unstable oscillation. The amplitude of the oscillation continues to increase until the particles strike on the rod. Okay. So when the particles is moving through this channel, you have four rods and you have the channel here. Okay, this is the channel. Okay, so through this channel, your uh, particle is going. Okay, and this channel you have the oscillation electrical field. Oscillation in this area, you have the electrical field, and your particle is moving through there. So if the particle is having high m by j or very low m by j, what you will see, you have unusual oscillation, and finally it will strike the rod, and it will be neutralized, or it will not reach to the detector ultimately. Okay, so this can happen. Another thing is, if the RF, the radio frequency, is the amplitude of radio frequency is higher than the DC voltage applied, the ions with higher M by Z ratio will reach the detector earlier. Okay, so M by Z having higher M by Z, that will reach the detector earlier if you have RF higher than DC. And second is, if you have the DC is higher than RF, means direct, I mean DC volt, what you are applying, that is higher than the radio frequency amplitude, what we'll see is the lower M by Z will reach the detector earlier. Okay, so that two things will will observe. Now, pictorially, you can imagine like this: you have four rods. You see, here is the negative. This is the negative potential applied here, and this is the positive potential applied along these two rods. Okay, so positive potential. What you see, your ion channels, I mean ions produced in the ion chamber, ionization chamber, is passing through a slit uh, and then entering to this uh, quadruple analyzing system. So why we are telling quadruple? We have four rods here, okay, cylindrical. So that's why we are telling quadruple rods. Okay, and now when it is traveling, you see the blue color, you have the oscillation, the ions. The blue color is striking the rod. Okay, so non-resonance ion not detected. So these ions are not having proper M by Z. Either it is having very high M by Z or very low M by Z. So it will not reach to the detector, it will strike the rod. And you see the red color, you have the proper oscillation and it is finally reaching to the detector. And based on the M by Z, which one will be reaching, whether the higher or lower, that will be governed by what type of RF and DC you are utilizing. If RF is higher than DC, then M by Z will be higher, that will reach faster. And if you have DC is higher than RF, you have M by Z lower, that will reach faster, okay, to the detector. And accordingly, you have the selection, signals. Uh, the major thing here is these are the process where you can eliminate the unwanted peaks. Okay, you can eliminate the unwanted peaks and decrease the signal noise. So that is important here. Now let us look at time of flight mass analyzer. Now this name itself is telling something related to the time of the ions during their movement, during their flighting. Okay, through the analyzer. Now, the time of flight top mass analyzer is based on the simple idea, that is the velocity of the ions. Okay, so velocity of the different ions. Here I have just told two ions means you have higher and lower mass ions. Okay, m by j. Created at the same instant. Suppose you are having the two ions created at the same time. Okay, they are having different m by z ratio. So with the same kinetic energy, their time of flight will vary depending on the mass of the ion. Higher, lighter the ion mass, okay, that will have higher velocity. Okay, so that observation we'll see. Okay, that observation from here will find out how we are coming to this conclusion. Okay, so what actually you are having different m by z, having same kinetic energy created at the same time, but they will have different velocity. Okay. Now let us look at, if the ions are traveling towards the mass spectrometer, I mean towards the detector of the mass spectrometer, the lighter ion will strike the detector first, that we told, but that will come, how it is, how we are coming to this conclusion. The kinetic energy of an ion accelerated through an electrical potential. If the electrical potential is V, uh, and you're having kinetic energy of the ions will be m by half mv square, and that will be equal to uh, the force generated there due to the electrical potential applied. Here z is the charge. So we have seen in the previous cases. So m is the mass, v is the velocity, z is the charge, and capital V is potential difference. Now, the velocity of an ion is defined as the length covered by the time. Okay, so if the length is L and time is t taken, so your V is, small v is L by t. Now that you can replace here in place of V. So what we'll see here is Z capital V is equal to m L square by 2 V square. Okay. Now from there you can bring m by Z uh, as 2V T square by L square. Now in mass analyzer, what you are having, particularly in time of flight, what you need one is potential difference. You have to apply electrical field, and you have to give certain distance to cover. Okay, so you have to allow the ions to travel through certain distance in the analyzer. Okay, up to the detector. So that is L. So L is fixed now. In any mass spectrometer, time of flight mass analyzer which is having, their L is fixed. V, you know, you are applying the potential, so V is fixed. Only thing is that T, you don't know. Now T will be proportional to what we are finding here, m by z. So T square is proportional to m by z. That means if you have uh, lighter m by z, okay, so lighter ion, lighter m by z will take smaller time. T will be, if you, they are proportional. So if you go for higher m by z, T will be more. If you go for lighter, T will be less. Okay, so that is told here. The faster movement will be for the lighter ion, okay, in time of flight. So what we'll see here, the ions with lower m by z ratio will travel faster and reach the detector earlier in this analyzing system, and the ions with higher m by z ratio, that will travel slower and it will reach the detector later. Okay, now you can look at here, you are applying, okay, this is here you are applying the electrical field. Suppose your ions are generated, that ions are of different m by z, your green color, purple color, and you have small maybe colorless, that one. So if you look at the small is traveling faster. Okay, so the, the smallest one is traveling faster, the heavier one, the bigger one is traveling slower, and the detector will detect the smallest first, then the accordingly based on the m by z. Now, from different analyzing system, okay, mass analyzer, what you see, sometimes you see higher m by z is traveling faster. Some analyzing system is you are looking like the lighter ion is traveling faster. Okay. So that are only the differences. Okay. Uh, Now, one of the important analyzing system we know is very well known is MALDI-TOF. Okay, so MALDI-TOF means, you know, MALDI we have discussed already, matrix assisted laser desorption ionization technique. So like most of the heavier molecules, protein and bigger drug molecules, that can be analyzed in MALDI. And in case of, if you compile like MALDI with TOF, okay, you can have better resolution for almost all of the ions, and you can analyze the bigger molecular weight of the compounds. So those are the instrumentation part. Let us move to the practical way. So in mass spectrometry, what you will see ultimately, the detector will be projecting the spectrum. Okay, and in spectrum you will have different ions. So one ion we call it, one type of ion we call it the molecular ion peak. What is that one? In the mass spectrum, the heaviest ion, the ion with greatest m by z value, the highest m by z value, is likely to be the molecular ion. Okay, most of the cases, that is the molecular ion. When a molecule is bombarded with the electrons in high vacuum, the mass spectrometer, it is converted into its positive ions. We are considering the positive. Okay, the positive ions by losing one electron. Okay. Now these ions are called molecular ion or parent ion. We can call also parent ion. So that terminology you need to know. Molecular ion, parent ion, they are the almost same thing. Here if you look at, you have M being bombarded, so you are generating M plus, dot plus radical cation. So that is the molecular ion. Okay, that is the molecular. So where M represents the molecule and M dot plus represents the molecular ion of parent ion. Now you have another terminology where we see in some cases the instead of getting M, you will see the M plus 1. You will see the M plus 1. That is, M is being connected with H. Okay, H plus. So that will give M plus H plus. The overall charge will be positive. And sometimes you may see the proton will be eliminated. So 1 M minus 1 P. Okay, so M minus H, that will be having one negative charge. So you are giving up H plus, so you'll have a negative charge. So peak is known as, that type of peak, we'll call it as quasi-molecular ion peak. Now you remember the CI ionization technique. So in chemical ionization technique, what you see, generate the proton transfer, right? So chemical ionization technique, whatever molecular ion will get it, that we call it, that is termed as quasi-molecular ion. Okay, quasi-molecular ion peak. You have another important peak which we call it as base peak. So what is base peak? The most intense, the tallest peak in the mass spectrum, due to the ions with greatest relative abundance. So that ion particularly reaching the detector the maximum number with respect to other ions. Okay. So that one we call it the relative intensity as 100%. So highest of the peak along the spectrum. Okay, so what you see, the along the y-axis, we will see the maximum height of the peak. So that we call it as the base peak. It doesn't mean that base peak will be always molecular ion peak. There are some cases we find the molecular ion as the base peak, but in generally we don't see the molecular ion as a base peak, because most of the cases the molecular ion gets fragmented and it generates the most stable ion, and most stable ions are expected to be the generally the base peak. Okay, that we see in general cases. Another ion, this is very important. This is metastable ion peak. So metastable ion peak, if an ion, either a molecular ion or a fragment ion of mass M1 is produced in the spectrometer, okay, in the ionization chamber, uh, and decomposes to lower mass M2 as it passes from the ion source to the magnetic field. This metastable ion may appear, okay, in the spectrum as a broad low intensity peak with often will have a non-integral m by e value even in the routine spectrum. So there we will see in the regular spectrum, generally what we see is whatever ions you will be having in the spectrum, you can correlate. So you can, if you try to analyze, you will see uh, the lower mass of ions, somehow it is correlated to the higher masses of ions. Okay, something has been removed and the lower mass has been formed. Okay, so you can easily correlate. You can add water, you can add some gases, and you can easily find out. Okay, if you look the two peaks, and if you subtract them, and you will find some value which is generally uh, equal to the mass of some neutral species or the radical species. Okay, so in that way, the higher and lower m by z, they are generally connected. Okay, but in some cases, what you see, you cannot correlate. Okay, that two peaks. I mean, there will be certain peak which are having, like what I have told here. You have a broadened, I mean broadened. You have low intensity peak. Okay, and that peak is not. I mean, you cannot correlate with any other peak. Okay, regular subtraction or addition of any neutral molecular radical. Okay. Now that particular peak we call it as the metastable peak. Now the point is, does metastable ion peak has any relation with any of the fragment? Definitely it has to have, because it is being produced from the different ions. So that means there should be some kind of relation. What is that relation? That we can track it out. So if M1 is being converted to M2, okay, it is being degraded to M2. So you have M1 by Z and M2 by Z. And in the process, it can generate one, it can have one M star. The metastable ion can be there. Now, what will be the mass of metastable ion? That will be, the M by Z value will be uh, M1 square by M2. Okay, so that we generally find. Let me see whether it is M1 square by M2 or M2 square by M1. Okay, you first do the calculation. Let me give this one. Can quickly, okay, in this math class, I have to tell one thing. You have to have always your calculator with you. Okay, because now onwards, what we'll see, uh, we are going to reach to the application. Okay, so we'll be analyzing different ions, different molecule, and we'll always have the M by Z calculation. Okay, so you should have the calculator with you. Now, what I'm telling is, try to find out based on this equation what could be the metastable ions M by Z value of this particular uh, cases. So this is you can take as the parent ion, and this is you can take the next ion generated. Okay, after releasing the profile radical. So what could be the M by Z? I mean, in between you can get the metastable ion. Can anybody quickly find out? I have a doubt here in this case. So by just using this equation, can anybody tell what will be the value of M star, the metastable ion M by Z value? Quickly, you just do the calculation and tell me. Anybody have done?
241.93.
One.
Sir, 241.93.
241.93.
241 is coming now. So this will be opposite. So if you do the reverse one, m2 square by m1, you do the m2 square by m1, how much you are getting? It will be m2 square by m1. So this one I have done some silly mistake. It has to be m2, here has to be m1. Okay, that you do correction. So whatever is generated, okay, so this is, we call it as the daughter ion. Okay, so this daughter ion, that you have to have the square and the parent will be at the bottom. Okay, so m2 square by m1, that will be, you are getting maybe 110, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so 109.9, so 110,
109.
yeah, 9.9. So that is the actual value. Okay, so it will be m2 square by m1. So 110, there you will see one peak. You are expecting one peak. If there is any metastable ion, that will be coming at 110. Did you get my point? Now this 110, 186, if you take 186 and 110, if you subtract, how much is coming? 76, right? So 76 is correspond to which particular species, neutral species. So it will be difficult to find out some cases. Okay, so what I will suggest is, when you see one uh, value in the mass spectrum, you have to judge also whether it is the metastable ion. Okay, how will do that one? You can look at from here. Generally, the metastable ion will have in between, okay, the value. So you have parent, you have daughter, in between you have another value. So that generally will have the metastable. Okay, and if you have, this calculation is matching. Okay, so these are the different terminologies related to the ions. What you have learned here, you have the molecular ion, quasi-molecular ion, those we termed as the parent ions. Okay. Now the parent is doesn't mean that it is always referring to the molecular ion peak. Okay. Any ion which can degrade further to generate another ion, the source ion we always call it as the parent. Okay. In this case, this is parent. Okay. This is parent. This is daughter. Now if this one further degrades, okay, then what we will call it as, suppose it is degrading, it is generating another ion which is X plus, okay, and it is liberating another radical or neutral species Y. Now in this case we will call it X plus is the daughter and this particular ion 143 as the parent, okay, for this situation. uh, we have learned the base peak. So base peak is the 100% peak. It doesn't mean that it will always be the molecular ion peak. It is the peak related to the ions which is having maximum number reaching to the detector. Okay, so maximum number reaching to the detector, that ion. And generally, in general cases, the ions which are most stable, that will be reaching to the detector maximum number, because that will not undergo fragmentation further easily. Okay, so that is the cases. The most stable ion we generally see as the base peak. Metastable ion, they have to be related with this equation. Okay, so these are the different points. Now what we will see is that a chart, okay, where you have different isotopes of different atoms. This is the nominal mass, you know already, this I'm not telling anything, it's just you know everything here. You have 1H, nominal mass is taken as 1, its abundance is 99.985%, Exact mass, we have the exact mass is 1.0078. Okay. You have deuterium, you have carbon, and you have nitrogen. So you have different isotopes given here. Another set of atoms are given here. So these are the general atoms we regularly find in our general molecules. Okay, most of the molecules are composed of organic molecules are composed of these different types of ions. I mean, radicals. This is atoms. So what we see, uh, they have their nominal mass, they have their exact mass. Okay. So when we'll have one molecule, say suppose we have a molecule which is generating a cation like this. Okay, so we can have their exact mass calculation. So we can have the value from the chart here. We can calculate the exact mass, and we can have the nominal mass. Nominal mass, we are not considering the points. Okay, so the values after points. So just uh, the integer value. Okay, so that we are considering, and we are getting here. So if you look at, we are close enough. We have the decimal points. We have some other values. Now, in different cases, what we'll see, the molecules of different ion, different molecules may have same nominal mass. Okay, different molecules may have same nominal mass, but they will never have their exact masses same. Okay, so exact mass up to 4 decimal point, you will see there will be some differences. Okay. Uh, Now the intensity of isotopes M plus 1, M plus 2, etc. relative to the molecular ion peak, that will uh, actually give the information regarding the molecule. Suppose it's very difficult to remember the exact mass of the atom, right? We have so many values after points. Generally, we can easily remember the nominal mass of the atom, right? Carbon is 12, okay? So that we consider. Hydrogen is 1. We'll have 1 point some values that we generally 1.007678. So this value we don't generally remember. So nominal mass we generally remember. Now, what you can do, just looking at mass spectrum carefully, you can differentiate the different molecular ion having the same nominal mass. Okay, because they will have different peak intensities of the corresponding isotopic molecule. Okay, let us uh, give the information here for a particular compound. Say suppose you have a particular atom which is having n number, okay, with isotope fraction A and B, the relative intensity for that cases, okay, m plus 1 and m plus 2 peak is given by this expression A plus B whole to the power n. Okay, so this is the expression. Did you get this is the expression? What is A? A is one isotope of that particular atom. Its abundance, the fractional abundance. B is another isotope of the same, that its abundance. Okay, the fractional abundance. N is how many number of atom of the same atom is present. Okay, based on that, the distribution will be there. So M will contribute this one. M means you are having the normal one. M plus 1, that means you have 1 unit more. Suppose you have carbon. If you just looking at carbon, so carbon is having 2, C12 and C13. So when you have C13, you are having M plus 1, right? And if you have two C13, that means you are having M plus 2. So that is we are pointing out here. Uh, Now let us look one example and it will be clear to you. For example, suppose in a fragment ion, we have one Cl atom. So if you have one Cl atom, that cell can be 35, Cl35, that cell can be Cl37. Okay. Now for Cl, we have seen the abundance for 35 is 75%, right? 75%. If you take in terms of fraction, 75 by 100 means you have 3 by 4. And for 37, you have 25%. Okay, 37, you have 25%. So if you take fraction, so 25 by 100, 1 by 4. Okay. Now, what you have to see the relative intensity of the fragment. M will be 100, M plus 1 will be 0, M plus 2 will be 33, M plus 3, M plus 4, those will be 0. Why this is, I am coming to this conclusion, you can understand. The expression will be based on this, A plus B whole to the power n. Now, A means you have 3 by 4, okay, B means 1 by 4. How many atom? One atom, one chlorine. So whole to the power 1. Okay, whole to the power 1. So it doesn't have anything. So 3 by 4, 1 by 4. Now 3 by 4, it is coming from chlorine 35. So that will contribute M. Okay. This is contributing 35. This is 1 by 4 is from 37. So this is 2 unit is increased, right? 35 to 37. So that is M by M plus 2. That will be contributing M plus 2. There is, in this case, there is no M plus 1. Okay. Now, how the percentage I am considering? So percentage is what you can do. This is M. So you make it 100%. So that means you can multiply with 100 into 4 by 3. So this is, if you multiply the whole system, what you are getting, this is becoming 100 and this will become 1 by 4 into 100 by 4 by 3. So you are getting 100 by 3, that is 33. Okay. So 33 will be M by 2, M plus 2, and M will be 100. There is no M plus 3 because there is nothing. You have one molecule, one chlorine atom. Now this equation is, this expression is well fitted. So it is, you can easily apply this one for halogen system. Okay. And other system also you can utilize this one. But for other system, I'll give different equations. But this equation you can still utilize there. Like for carbon, hydrogen, if you consider. When we have the halogen, that will have greater impact because the chlorine 35 and 37, they have huge abundance in the nature. Let us look for a system, a fragment ion, where you see.
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
sir, how to, no, this one, sir, how to M plus 2, chlorine 37 chlorine.
Hmm. No, suppose you have a molecule, okay? You have there one chlorine atom.
Yes, sir.
Suppose you have benzoyl chloride. Understood? You
Yes,
have
sir.
PHCH2Cl.
Hmm.
Now this molecule, suppose it is generating one cation. Say the molecular ion peak. Okay. Now that molecular ion peak, that is, we call it as M plus. Okay. Now you have the chlorine which can be 35, chlorine 35 isotope, which can be chlorine 37 isotope. Yes or no? In the
Yes.
molecule.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now the 37, when you are telling, what is the molecular weight there? M plus 2. Yes or no? Because 35, when you are considering, this is the regular one. This is the most abundant isotope. Okay. So
Yes,
that
sir.
one we take it as the regular one. That is M. Okay.
Yes.
Now when you consider chlorine 37, you are actually considering 2 unit more mass. 35 to
Mass, yes,
37,
sir.
2 unit more. So that is becoming m plus 2. Okay. Now, when you look at the mass spectrum, you will see a peak at m. Okay, suppose benzoyl chloride. What will be the molecular weight of benzoyl chloride? Can quickly tell? Can anybody quickly calculate the benzoyl chloride molecular weight? C6, not C6, C8, C7, H 5 to 7, Cl. C7, H 7, Cl. What is coming? Regular. You just take the nominal mass. Carbon is 12, so 12 into 7. Hydrogen is 1, 1 into 7, and you have chlorine 35. So how much is coming? Quickly, taking too much time. Immediately you have to do.
126.
126. No, you have chlorine 30. Is it 126? Okay, if I take 126, so that is the M, because we are considering the most abundant ion, most abundant isotope is chlorine 35, right? When you consider the chlorine 37, the molecular weight, what will be the molecular weight? That will be 128, right? So that is M plus 2. That is I'm telling. Now you will see the peak due to 126, you will see the peak due to 128, right? So what will be the intensity?
Yes.
What will be their intensity? What I'm telling is the intensity will be for 126 is 100%, and intensity for M plus 2 will be 33%. That is my point. So quickly tell, if you have two chlorine atoms, so your equation will be A plus B to the power 2, right? A plus B whole square. Now that you can write as A square plus 2AB plus B square. Okay. Now A, it is purely from, suppose chlorine, purely from 35. Okay. B, what you are having? 135, 137. So that is M plus 2. So this will be contributing M plus 2. 135, 137. So this B square, both are 37. So this will be contributing M plus 4. So M plus 4. Okay. So there will be no M plus 1, no M plus 3. Understood? Now what will be their intensity ratio? You just do accordingly. Multiply by 100 and 16 by 9. If you do that one, this is becoming 100. This is becoming, just do 100 by 3 maybe, or 100 by 6. So 16 by 9. So 6 by 9. 6 by 9 means 2 by 3. So 33 was 66. This will come as 66. And this is M by 4 is coming 100 by 3. So 33. 100 by 9. 100 by 9. So it is coming at 10. Okay. 100 by 9. So it is coming at 10. Are you getting? What you are doing? You are multiplying by 100 into 16 by 9. So this is 9 by 16. That you have to make it as 100. So 100 into 16 by 9. 16 by 9 into 9 by 16 is 1. So ultimately it will be 100. And that you have to multiply all the things. Ultimately 100 by 9 is 10. So this will be your distribution. Understood? So your M plus 1 will be 100. Sorry, M will be 100. M plus 1 will be 0. M plus 2 will be 67. M plus 3 will be 0. M plus 4 will be 11. If you just divide properly, you will get the 67 and 11 value. Okay, so this is the thing. Now I'm giving one home task that you have to do. Depict the EIMS spectrum of chlorine 2 and Br2. Okay, these two you have to consider, like M plus 1, M plus 2, M plus 3, M plus 4. So those percentage you have to calculate how much will be the peak intensity, and you have to draw one spectrum accordingly. Okay, based on Cl2. Cl2 is already calculated here. You have two chlorine atoms, and Br2 you have 2 bromine atom. For 2 bromine atom, what will be the situation that you have to show? Okay. Now quickly, another thing, you have ethylene and CO have same nominal mass 28. What differences you will observe in the EIMS? So that you have to calculate based on the equation A plus B whole to the power 2. Okay, it will be maybe a bit difficult for you, but still you try. Okay, what you do is A plus B, that is for one atom, okay, one particular atom. When you are having two different particular atoms, you can multiply with another thing. So A plus B, okay, to the power n into C plus D to the power m. Okay, that you can consider. Are you getting? A plus B to the power n, C to the power m. So this is for one atom, this for another atom. This you have to consider. Nitrogen rule, let me quickly tell. Nitrogen rule is, if you number of nitrogen in ions, if it is 0 or even, nominal mass will see even, and nominal mass of the fragment will be odd. If your number of nitrogen present in the molecule is odd number, nominal mass will be odd, and the fragment ion will always be even. Okay, so this is your nitrogen rule. That's all. Okay, so your job is to try these two questions. Okay, so next class I need to see. So by Tuesday you have to submit these two. Okay. I'm stopping here, so you attend another class. So we'll meet again in the next week. So thank you for attending today's class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.